Testing, testing.
피곤하기도 하지 자존심 때문에 노력했지 이 거리에서 우리 만나섰지 참말을 하면서 시리의 dream 살것이야 맛있게 놓쳤지 돈이 문제라면 돈을 벌어야지
Yeah. Hello and welcome to the Crypto Mining Show, your one-stop shop for all cryptocurrency news from the perspective of a cryptocurrency miner. I go by Blind Run on the internet and Matthew in real life, and today we have to talk about what the heck happened over the weekend with the price of Bitcoin. So we're going to be digging into that, of course, and then we're going to be digging into quite a few other things. We're going to be digging into India's new crypto tax, which looks pretty dang crazy with 70% penalties. We're going to be looking at Trump's financial project buying more ETH, a lot of it, as well as Eric Trump purchasing some. So lots of crazy stuff going there. We're also going to be talking about the Sovereign Wealth Fund that just got signed about, I don't know, 6 hours ago or something along those lines. Not a Bitcoin strategic fund, but effectively the same thing for not only cryptocurrencies, but other strategic assets. It's kind of an all-encompassing package. Hopefully we can get a better idea of what all that involves. MicroStrategy has halted purchasing Bitcoin, oddly enough. Maybe that's why crypto went down. Who knows? And we also are going to be talking about the Texas Stock Exchange. Yes, apparently Texas is going to have its own stock exchange. So not only does Texas not have to worry about, getting power from the United States as it's its own grid, or its own, worry about the military because it has its own military. Now it'll have its own stock exchange. That's going to be pretty interesting. We're also going to be talking about Solana passing Ethereum. I've been talking about this a lot lately. We saw the writing on the wall. We'll also talk about some potential projects that could also end up flipping Ethereum here pretty soon, with one in particular that I'm interested in. We're also going to be talking about the Flux unveiling that happened on, I believe it was the 1st, so I think that was Saturday. And then we're going to be talking about the big one today that everybody's worried about, the Xeggex hack. No, I'm not the hacker, or am I? I get the jokes. But we're also going to be talking about Coinbase and minor releases, and of course at the end we'll have a reaction to Red Panda Mining's latest video, and we're going to be talking about the rig submission for the week. I hope everybody's doing good. Welcome everybody to the chat. I see Integra Guy in the chat. All Track, welcome to the stream. Design of Modern Life, welcome to the stream. Lotus, thanks for stopping in. Snark, good to see you here, buddy. We got Bojangles up in the house, Brewing up in the house, Todd up in the house, Vader in the farm. There we go. We'll come up with a new one. We got Ara2 here. Thanks for being a supporter, Ara2. Jaster here. We got the Stick Shark. We got Papa Lip. We got Kappa C. We got John Lemon. We got Bit Zapple. We got Guifa. I don't know how to pronounce that one. Sorry about that. And Electric Eddie. So lots of people here. Thanks for stopping in. I think we also see IoT API down there. One of the guys that helps run, of course, Viper Pool. So thanks to him for stopping in. I hope everybody's doing good. I've just been hanging out. We will be having the Crypto Mining Show every Monday at 6 p.m. Central and every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central. That will be streamed on YouTube, Kick, Twitch, and all of that. X as well sometimes. Today it wasn't. Unfortunately, maybe I should click the go on that, but it is what it is. We're also going to be streaming on every other day. So Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Tuesdays and Thursdays as well on Twitch only, where I'll be doing and conducting a majority of my testing. Currently behind me, you can see I have one of every single video card in existence, so we're going to get them all tested, and hopefully we'll also be picking up a 5090 at some point, and then the 5070 and 70 Ti. So stay tuned to the channel for all of that testing. I also have some networking stuff coming up with Ubiquity. If you guys are interested in any sort of carving off VLANs for mining rigs, all that sort of stuff, we can talk about that with the Ubiquity gear, because it's really good gear to do it with, and I'm rebuilding the network at my current location, so it'll be pretty fun to go through it. Thanks for the Radiant hoodie or beanie, but it's too hot, so we're going to go back to our baseball cap. It was cool to get that from the guys over at Radiant. I won't try to shill them too much, and if they screw up, don't worry, I'll still call them out. Beanie ain't worth that much money. So let's go ahead and hop into the first topic today, which is, why is the price down today or yesterday for Bitcoin? What happened to Bitcoin over the weekend? We saw prices go all the way down to 93,000 US dollars from 102,000 at the closing price for Bitcoin, the highest closing price we have ever seen in Bitcoin ever, I think, actually. That was the highest closing price ever for January for Bitcoin ever. And that's pretty incredible. And of course, whenever you have something like that happen, you can only, this is my new saying, you can only make so many people millionaires before they cash out. And that's kind of what you need to be thinking about, especially on these smaller meme tokens, these smaller cryptocurrencies and so on. You can only, everybody has their price, right? The thing is there's a lot of people that have a much lower price than you, right? If you're spending $4,000 to $10,000 on power mining Bitcoin, you know, making 10 grand isn't going to seem like a lot to you. But if you are, you know, working at Starbucks and in college, obviously 10 grand is going to seem like a ton to you, and you're going to sell it. That's pretty much just the name of the game. And the strategy is to make sure that you're fully aware of that and consider all positions in life and all possibilities, right? And I think that we saw a little bit of that over the weekend. Of course, there's a lot of different reasons. We're going to look at Cointelegraph here and see what they kind of think about it. And then we'll kind of spur off of that, right? So Bitcoin, which is now over $100,000 again today, by the way, dropped over 5% over the last 24 hours. And this is written, of course, on Sunday, to 95,279 US dollars, leading to declines across the crypto market. This comes after US President Donald Trump announced tariffs on imported goods from Canada, Mexico, and China. So the key takeaways are that Bitcoin's drawdown followed Trump's new tariffs on China, Mexico, and Canada, and other top cap cryptocurrencies were also down, exacerbated by massive liquidations across the crypto market. Bitcoin price needs to hold above a key support area to avoid deeper correction. Of course, it did hold. It didn't have a deeper correction. And all of this FUD surrounding, and I call it FUD because there's no evidence for a price below 75,000, like a lot of people keep trying to say. Here's the other thing. It's the same concept. You can only take away so much money from people before they start pumping the price back up again. And way too many people have bought in over the $90,000 mark. And I think that that's important to take into account. You know, panic selling because you're afraid it's going to keep going to 75,000, or, you know, not selling when it's up at like 102,000 or above. These are all things that, like, you just need to think about from the perspective of other people that are in the market, right? This is the problem I see with Kaspa as far as mining goes. Because mining doesn't have as much emissions as Bitcoin, it doesn't impact the price as much of Kaspa. Like, mining barely impacts the price of Kaspa, and you can only make so many millionaires, and there's so many wallets with over 1 million Kaspa. The likelihood of Kaspa going to, you know, basically $1 is extremely low right now, because there would be so many people wanting to cash out and become a millionaire as it goes further and further, and they don't have the influence of the miners controlling the supply. This supply is going to, on the Bitcoin side of things, is obviously diminishing further and further, and miners are having less and less control over the price of Bitcoin, and it's going to basically get to the point to where the miners at some point, probably in 2 cycles is about my prediction right now for Bitcoin, we will see a complete removal of the influence of the price from miners. Maybe not a complete removal, but a pretty significant removal of the influence of miners over the price. Or what will happen, which is a possibility, is that fees will reach parity with, of course, the block reward. And at that point, everything will be very stable. That would be the best outcome, right? But that's still up in the air. However, those two play out. That's how I see it playing out over the next 8 to 10 years, right? Bitcoin, which is held above $100,000 since January 17th, was trading just above $95,000 at the time of publication. Key points are that Bitcoin was down 5% over the 24 hours, not that much, and dropped as much as 9.7%. And the low was actually lower than I saw at $93,000 to $91,530 on February 3rd. The decline followed Trump's announcement of 25% tariffs on Mexican and Canadian foods and 10% levies on Chinese imports set to take effect on Tuesday. Now, this is what they say it is. I'm not so necessarily sure. Look, here's the thing. Every single time we see a huge price correction in the price of Bitcoin or a huge pump in the price of Bitcoin, we get all of these, external factors blamed for the results of the price of Bitcoin. And the fact of the matter is I think those have a lot less to do with the price of Bitcoin than just your normal everyday trading analysis, etc. Right? So, and even the trading analysis, right? You'll hear people kind of like draw their lines out, and then obviously it doesn't match up to that. All of these things are good and important to consider, but I think the actual influence of the price of Bitcoin from the announcement of the tariffs is probably a lot less than we may think. Just like, and I'm going to remind you guys of this, just like all of the pro-crypto announcements from the Trump White House at the beginning of the month didn't have near as much of an impact on price as people expected either, even myself, right? So I have to admit and take a step back and look at things objectively and say, well, is this really going to cause, a panic sell down to 75,000, or is this really going to cause euphoria in the market to 200,000 within the next 30 days? And the answer to both of those questions is more than likely no, objectively, right? That's just because it is the way it is. Objectively, you can look at it. You can see historically what the price has been. You can see that it seems to be on a 4-year halving cycle pattern. It seems to still be holding up as far as that is concerned, and the power law is affecting it still at this point. I'm not saying that it will post 10 years from now, but it is still at this point, right? So that's kind of the way I look at it. I think that the macro there, and I'm not saying like a macro cycle or a super cycle or anything like that. I think the super cycle is way far down the line. But if you take a look at the macro, the chart patterns are still the same, right? So some key points are that approximately 465 million in Bitcoin leverage positions have been liquidated over the past 24 hours. And more than $389 million of these were long Bitcoin position liquidations compared to 75 million that were shorts. Bullish traders are forced to close their positions when long positions are liquidated. And obviously we've talked about, leveraged positions, especially leveraged longs and leveraged shorts. They're very dangerous to play around with. Of course, people do find success with them. I famously, leverage shorted Caspa, and that paid off. And so sometimes they can pay off, but it's never going to be something that is for certain, right? And the problem is that when you have these types of trading behaviors from the market happening, the effects to the supply and the volume and all of that, right, is quite pronounced. It's a lot more pronounced than it should have been if those options weren't available. And so I think when we see these huge kind of corrections like that, it's because of these highly leveraged positions that make it more impactful, right? Especially on a Sunday when Bitcoin's kind of the only thing trading, or crypto is, and you have the rest of the market shut down. I think that also pushes a little bit more effect onto that particular space, as in crypto, because, crypto's open 24/7. Now, Bitcoin's price dropped further due to cascading liquidation effects like we talked about, and the scale of the liquidations mirror December 20th, 2024, when more than 419 million in long positions were wiped out, accompanying an 11% Bitcoin price drop, right? So the initial price drop is not influenced by longs and shorts necessarily, but the degree to which that happens is influenced by the leverage position. So basically what I'm saying is, when it does go down and it falls below that line, it's kind of like a cascading effect, like they say here, and the dominoes are getting knocked over, and it kind of just collapses all of those longs, and it's going to have a more pronounced effect on, of course, the price of Bitcoin. So it did say that holding above the 100-day SMA level would help Bitcoin reclaim the 50-day $99,000, which of course it did, and that the RSI at 38 points is nearing oversold conditions, increasing the chances of a possible recovery in the short term, which we did see. Now, commenting on Bitcoin's latest price action, popular trader Dan Crypto Trades explains that the asset could chop in a wide range over the next few days, with 90,000 acting as support and the upside capped at 108,000. So what does that tell you as a miner, right? Let's think about this here for a second. When should you be selling your mined crypto to make sure you can cover your power bill? Does anybody in chat know? Because I can give you the marker at which you probably should, right? If you're trying to make sure you can cover your power bill, going above that 108,000 and waiting for that when you have a bill due 30 days from now, probably not a great idea, right? You want to be basically trying to capitalize on whenever you're profitable between that $100,000 and $108,000 price point, right? And that means, of course, it has to be dependent on the efficiency of your equipment, the price of your power, all of that stuff taken into account. But you don't want to be sitting there on a bunch of Bitcoin that you've mined waiting to pay your power bill. And then guess when everybody's selling crypto? Do you guys notice a pattern? It's always the end of the month. Go look at December. Go look at, look at January. Go look at December. Go look at all the months beforehand. November. When this happens is always right around the exact same time of the last few days of the month. And that's because, well, you have large cryptocurrency projects, crypto specifically, you have large miners as it pertains to Bitcoin selling off to cover costs and basically working out their books. Now, it's even worse and more pronounced on a quarterly basis, right? So at the end of every quarter, you can see a little bit more of a correction, that sort of thing. But little sell-offs to cover your power is not a bad thing to do, especially right now when everybody's teetering on that profitable and unprofitable phase. And it also means that if everybody's kind of staggering those sell-offs, it's going to be less pronounced and there'll be less likelihood of something like a long cascading effect, okay? And that's important because the higher close that we have at the end of every month, the more of a likelihood we have of Bitcoin's basically capped upside increasing, right? So if we have, 102,000 close and then the next cap, on the upside's 108,000, maybe at the end of February we see 104,000 close, and then there's basically an upside cap of 110,000, right? Theoretically. I mean, that's obviously not real numbers and no trade analysis at all whatsoever. It's just an example of the idea behind it, right? And you don't want to cause any of those sell-offs because then you're hurting your own mining profitability. And this is extremely important, especially on small cryptocurrencies. Things like Warthog, if you're mining that, Things like everybody's power bill is usually due around the first of the month. Well, if every small cap miner that mines Warthog is selling all their Warthog at the end of the month, it's going to drive the price down. And you don't want to be irresponsible as a miner and literally hurt your own profits, right? Like, that's the entire point. It's better and healthier for the network to sell off at a staggered rate. That's just, it's healthier for the network. It's more reliable for your income. It's better for everyone involved. Let the traders take the risk, okay? Mining isn't about taking that risk. Mining is about generating the revenue, and that is it. There's no more. If you want to spend your profits on anything, right, you could hold, but buy more miners, right? That's kind of the idea behind it. You are specifically, a cog in the machine of cryptocurrency, especially as it pertains to Bitcoin. And you just got to know your place. We've talked about this a ton of times before. All right, so let's talk about India's new crypto tax. There's going to apparently be a 70% penalty on undisclosed gains. I guess they're having trouble with people not reporting their gains, which is pretty funny. Now, keep in mind, India also has a extremely high population of scammers, and those scammers are already outside of the law. And keep in mind too here that they are not reporting these. So it's kind of funny because the people that are obeying the rules are going to have a much harder time than the people that aren't. Obviously, if people are scamming, they're not going to report their cryptocurrency. It's just kind of funny. This is the whole thing. Maybe it's an act to essentially try to stop that or pursue people that are scamming. That's a possibility. Now, when I talk about the scams too, we also have to talk about there's not just like crypto jacking or the cold call scams, but you also have ransomware attacks. Most ransomware attacks are executed from foreign nations, of course, and they request payments in Bitcoin, right? Some do it in Monero, but in general they do. And so that's something to keep in mind when we're talking about this. I presume this could be, passed in relation to that problem, maybe, but I think overall it's just greedy governments, right? Which crypto came here to stop in the first place. So this is effective on the 1st, a few days ago, and it's a 70% tax penalty on undisclosed cryptocurrency gains. This move aims to align crypto with traditional assets like bullion under the virtual digital assets category, with these laws applying retroactively to gains from the past 4 years. So obviously this is going to make it extremely difficult for individuals that weren't able or didn't know exactly what all the rules were surrounding cryptocurrency, which we know every country has had, regulatory slowdown as it pertains to digital assets and cryptocurrency. I think this is straight criminal, right? You're saying, okay, well, we didn't give you good guidelines, but now we're going to retroactively put a 70% tax on all your cryptocurrency. That's awful. You're basically going to be turning everyone that holds crypto into a criminal in India at that point. I'm so glad we ended up with an administration in the United States that is going the opposite direction of this. This is oppressive for the people and downright criminal, in my humble opinion. They're saying in India, there's some people making comments about we thought it couldn't get any worse, that sort of thing. And there'll be more clarity on this, I'm sure, at some point. And it's kind of funny that it's undisclosed. It means that they kind of got to catch you. Are they going to catch them? I don't know. But $70 on every $100 gained it's just baffling. And so the Income Tax Act that is going into place is going to be under Section 158B of the Income Tax Act in India. And we just got to make sure that we're voting stateside and make sure this type of thing doesn't happen. Now, will it impact the price of cryptocurrency? That would be the next question. Yes and no, right? So it can, obviously, this cryptocurrency is going to have to be sold off to pay those gains. And I think in a lot of cases, what it's going to influence for people in that area is actually going to be the opposite of a sell-off. Because as soon as you sell off, and I would have to look more into their particular situation as far as capital gains. It doesn't say unrealized capital gains, so you're not having to pay those capital gains on something you haven't sold for the local currency. So in theory, you would probably see some sort of workarounds going on in that area. Maybe this does, beckon forth the original purpose of crypto, which is to bypass the banks and the government, and we start seeing real world use cases of people trading crypto for items, goods, and services, right? And in that case, it could be very, very good for the adoption of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and drive the price up. On the flip side there, though, and depending on the way the rest of the tax act is written, if unrealized gains are a part of this in the future, all that sort of thing, if they start cracking down on people extremely hard, obviously there will have to be a large sell-off of the crypto to cover the taxes. And so that could negatively impact the price of Bitcoin. What do I think will happen at the end of the day? I think we're going to see a positive impact on the price of cryptocurrency because, frankly, as far as any Indian I've ever met, and my roommate was Indian, right? And I work with a lot of them because I work in IT, blah, blah, blah. And anybody from India specifically that I've communicated with, they don't really, how do I say this? They don't follow the rules, right? I mean, that's just kind of a given at this point. That's why they're infamous for, the call centers, etc. I think that as a population, they're very comfortable with working outside of the guidelines of the government policy, right? So, it is what it is. Let's move on, though. I think that we have kind of a shocker, and I guess all of this kind of goes together. Maybe I need to reorder these. Actually, we are going to reorder these here and here, because what we really want to talk about first is going to be the Sovereign Wealth Fund, because the Sovereign Wealth Fund happened today prior to essentially the financial project boost of, the World Liberty Financial Group, which is Trump's association. They made a purchase. But before that happened, of course, there was a signing of an order for U.S. Sovereign Wealth Fund. And this was on Monday. Today, President Donald Trump signed an executive order to establish the first U.S. Sovereign Wealth Fund. The fund aimed at benefiting the national economy and could potentially invest in various assets, including stocks and cryptocurrencies, as well as manage strategic assets like TikTok. This move involves directing the U.S. Treasury and Commerce departments to develop this government-owned investment pool. And you can see there's the pictures here. I believe there was a video I wanted to listen to, so let me get my headphones going, if they are good. We'll get an update on Xeggex when we get to that portion. Okay. All right, so I have this here. Let's see if we can hear it.
And when we do all of this...
All right, so we can hear it pretty good. I don't know. Let's go full screen and just take a listen.
And when we do all of this, we will be so successful. We'll create America's own sovereign wealth fund to invest in great national endeavors for the benefit of all of the American people. Why don't we have a wealth fund? Other countries have wealth funds. We have nothing. We have nothing. We're going to have a sovereign wealth fund, or we can name it something different. I'll talk about it with Mr. Paulson, who's in the audience, and a lot of other friends of mine. And we'll name it something that's appropriate. Perhaps sovereign wealth fund wouldn't be appropriate, but it's going to be the same thing.
I mean, that's what he named it. So I don't know that we're getting any information out of this that we don't already have.
And other intelligent things. And we'll have the greatest sovereign wealth fund of them all, and we should have. And that will be used to do things that will be great for our country, including to invest.
All right, here we go.
And wisely invest and build it up bigger and stronger and better than any place on earth. We will build extraordinary national development projects and everything from highways to airports and to transportation, infrastructure, all of the future. We'll be able to invest in state-of-the-art manufacturing hubs, advanced defense capabilities, cutting-edge medical research, and help save billions of dollars in preventing disease in the first place. And I'm very honored to have been endorsed last week by
so this is an older video. I don't think he's going to say specifically what any of the investments are in.
He's very much into helping people.
Which is kind of a disappointment. You know, a lot of people thought...
That was a great thing when he did that. That was not easy.
A lot of people essentially thought that we were going to get specifically a Bitcoin sovereignty fund or whatever, but that doesn't appear to be the case. And I'm not sure he even mentioned... It doesn't look like he mentioned anything about cryptocurrency in this one in particular. Just working on the national debt to close the 36 trillion. We know that the primary investment vehicle will be tariffs, and that it will be used to basically get rid of the 36 trillion in debt that we currently have. It has been signed. I guess here's the actual signature.
Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, and your Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, to begin a process that will hopefully result in the creation of an American sovereign wealth fund.
It's a very exciting event. We're going to have a sovereign wealth fund, which we've never had. We have a lot of things that create wealth, and you're seeing that over the last 2 weeks. I think we've created more wealth. Other people have created de-wealth, the people, my predecessors. We're creating a lot of wealth. Scott, maybe you'd like to say something about it, and I'd ask also Howard to say something about it.
I mean, do you guys think that we've really seen a creation of wealth in the past 2 weeks? I mean, like, I don't think that it's even reasonable to assume that that's even possible, much less I'm not really actually seeing that come into fruition. I mean, we were already above that 100K mark with Bitcoin, for example. And the only thing we saw in addition from this administration as it pertains to wealth within crypto was the meme tokens, which pretty much removed wealth from the crypto space. It didn't seem to add any wealth, but that's just my observations, right? I think that it's going to take, you know, a couple quarters, 6 months to a year before we really see what the actual effects of this will be on the economy as a whole, and especially things like new immigration policies. You know, is that going to create more jobs in the U.S. and thereby, of course, creating more wealth? Are we going to see, you know, there's talk of getting rid of the income tax. Now, you could state, and I would say personally, that if you get rid of the income tax, then we're creating a bunch of wealth for citizens, because all of a sudden everybody's check goes up by 30%, right? Because don't forget, you may be paying 15% out of your check, but your employer is paying another 15%. And of course, the question will be, is your employer going to then give you that additional 15% or not? I bet in general, in a competitive workplace, you'll be able to negotiate that at some point or whatever it may be. Of course, that's a scaling thing, but something I was thinking about.
Yes, sir. This is very exciting. We're going to stand this thing up within the next 12 months. We're going to monetize the asset side of the U.S. balance sheet for the American people. We're going to put the assets to work. And I think It's going to be very exciting. We're going to study best practices that's done around the world. It'll be a combination of liquid assets, assets that we have in this country,
liquid assets,
as we work
assets
to
we already
bring them,
have.
Out for the American people.
What kind of assets?
The extraordinary size and scale of the U.S. government and the business it does with companies should create value for American citizens. If we are going to buy 2 billion COVID vaccines, maybe we should have some warrants and some equity in these companies and have that grow for the help of the American people. So I bring all these things together. I think Scott and I will create an amazing sovereign wealth fund for you, sir.
Well, and that's going to be the thing, right? They do have the seized Bitcoin. There's been rumors, of course, that Hawk had brought up on the show that I was with him on, if you guys want to go watch that one, that it was going to have to be virgin Bitcoin, and therefore, you know, the price of virgin Bitcoin is going to go higher. Is that necessarily true? I don't know. At this point, you know, I think this idea of certain Bitcoin being worth less because of the activities that they were participated in seems absolutely ridiculous to me, because like, are you going to take every dollar that was used in a drug deal and confiscate that and never utilize that again? I mean, eventually that goes back into the system. So it's just, one, it's impossible because you're never going to catch all of it, right? And two, it's just a waste of funds. It's a waste of assets. It's a waste of resources. So I don't see that as being a viable thing. Will there be a demand for virgin Bitcoin for other reasons? I think the answer to that is yes. What do I think those reasons are? I think eventually it's going to be a lot of non-KYC reasons, right? And I think that there will be a higher demand, a premium for the non-KYC Bitcoin. But all at the same time, like, what are you going to buy that with, right? Like USDT, what are you going to try to get, you know, do that trade with? Will be the ultimate question. And then as long that also has the precursor for that to be the case has to be that you can transact for most goods and services directly with Bitcoin. Because if that's not in place and you have to have an off ramp for the cryptocurrency, then the virgin Bitcoin really means nothing, right? At the end of the day. So I think it's really up to that. And then, of course, with the sovereign wealth fund, some people are bringing up in chat, I think it is important to state that, yes, if they're just going to turn on the money printers to purchase all of these cryptocurrencies, digital assets, all that sort of stuff, it's going to drive the US dollar value obviously down. But that was kind of the idea behind Bitcoin in the first place, was driving the adoption of Bitcoin through governments FOMOing in to that Trojan and letting that Trojan horse into their wealth funds like this, right? So, I mean, if you are going across like the cypherpunk history, right, you're already like aware that this is what was expected from the very beginning. This is what we expected. It's no different. And it is kind of that whole thing of like, first they make fun of you, then they fight you, and then they join you kind of thing, right? And that's exactly what's happening with cryptocurrency in general. And virgin Bitcoin means you have no KYC attached to it. It's not been involved in any other transactions, and it's coming straight off the block reward. It's newly minted Bitcoin that has not done anything but hit a wallet. Preferably that wallet's not attached to anything either, because if that wallet has transactions, then it's not virgin Bitcoin. Okay.
Sovereign wealth funds, and they're much smaller countries, and they're not the United States. We have tremendous potential in this country, tremendous. You're seeing that, what's happened just in a short period of time. And as an example, TikTok, we're going to be doing something perhaps with TikTok, and perhaps not. If we make the right deal, we'll do it, otherwise we won't. But I have the right to do that, and we might put that in the sovereign wealth fund, whatever we make, or if we do a partnership with very...
So here's some of the problems I have with this off the bat. If you want to have a Bitcoin strategic reserve, right, I'm all for that because it's an asset that you can purchase similar to gold and put it in a reserve to boost the price of, or to boost the wealth of the nation as a whole. Partnerships with companies and ownerships in stocks, etc. That's just a capitalistic way to be a communist country. At the end of the day, the government should hold no interest in any company, especially a capitalistic country. And I'm totally against that. So I don't agree with this. I think that if you wanted to just say cryptocurrencies and you're holding assets like gold, silver, and Bitcoin, I'm cool. As soon as you start basically leveraging the government funds to purchase parts of companies, well, you're a communist. End of the day, you're just in disguise. Which, you know, I've talked about this a lot before. Like, everyone always wants to say, you know, capitalism is always better than communism. No, they always end up at the same ending happens no matter which path you take. It's just that communism gets there faster, right? And so I don't like this at all. I think it's trash, and I think it's very dangerous. Especially if you're going to use Federal Reserve money printing to do it.
Wealthy people, a lot of options, but we could put that as an example in the fund, and we have a lot of other things that we could put in the fund. And I think in a short period of time, we'd have one of the biggest funds. And you know, some of them are pretty large. I must tell you, some of the Saudi Arabia fund is on the large side, but eventually we'll catch it. But we're going to create a lot of wealth for the fund. And I think it's about time that this country had a sovereign wealth fund, and these two gentlemen and some others are going to work with them very closely, and they'll be heading it up, and they're going to do a great job. Two highly respected people that have done unbelievably well in the world, in the real world. So that's a big deal, huh?
Yes, sir. I think it's going to create value and be of great strategic importance.
So the only thing mentioned for sure that was actually mentioned. Now, he said it's a maybe, but the only thing he mentioned was TikTok. Which is like, so what we're going to end up having is an oligarchy battle, a corporation battle of countries and how much percentage of a company does the country own. And to me, that sounds dystopian. So we're going to say what, like now is the U.S. going to buy, you know, shares of Tencent to put in this fund, which I've been vehemently against Tencent since its inception. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it. This isn't the bullish Bitcoin reserve announcement that I thought it was going to be. You know, I just... So let's see if they've announced anything further. This article is very short. They don't really tell us anything that we don't already know. I guess it gives us a timeline, which will be that it's going to be created within the next 12 months. I hope it's going to lean heavy towards assets and, you know, not actual shares within companies, which I get are assets. I understand that, but you understand what I mean. Maybe I'm hearing this wrong. I don't know. I feel like I'm missing something, but it's like we may cut a deal with TikTok. We'll see where that goes. That seems to me like some sort of company stake, some sort of stake in the company from a government, which doesn't sound okay to me. It just doesn't. I can't. Maybe I'm hearing it wrong, but we're just going to leave it at that. That seems crazy. What next thing is like what? Like Musk like sells parts of Tesla to the US? Like, is that what's going to end up happening? Amazon? I mean, they already, here's the problem. And here's why I'm getting really upset about this, because every single time you think that we're going to go in a good direction, something weird like that happens and it pushes us closer and closer to some weird dystopia. And so in this, like, I just like, if you take a step back and you look at everything that happened, like under the Biden administration, granted, surrounding the event the sickness or whatever you want to call it, you essentially had, you know, it started with the Trump administration, went into the Biden administration. A lot of that was utilized to shut down mom and pop stores and allow large corporations like Amazon and so on and Walmart to stay in operation while forcing the individuals that were running their businesses to shut down, while Bill Gates puts all the farmers out of business. And then they come in and they say, oh, and now we're going to start buying shares in these companies as well. I don't know. Two sides of the pendulum go in the wrong direction. So if you wanted to see what kind of assets they're looking into, Trump's financial project boosts ETH holdings to 420 million. Donald Trump's associated cryptocurrency project World Liberty Financial has recently purchased 86,000 ETH over the last 8 hours, totaling an investment of approximately 220 million US dollars. This transaction has increased their Ethereum holdings to a total of 420 million, representing about 65% of their portfolio's allocation. Now, I do have an article here that goes into more detail, hopefully, from Cointelegraph, where it says World Liberty Financial claims it hasn't sold any of its WLFI tokens amid rumors that the decentralized finance project was pursuing token swaps with various blockchain projects whose tokens it acquired in recent months. So, according to a February 3rd social media post, World Liberty said it routinely shuffles its crypto holdings as part of its treasury management strategy and, quote, to be clear, we are not selling tokens, we are simply reallocating assets for ordinary business purposes, end quote, the post said. World Liberty Financial, which is linked to the family of the U.S. President Donald Trump, issued the statement less than 2 hours ago after Blockworks reported that the company was pursuing token swaps with various crypto projects. Citing anonymous sources, the report claims that World Liberty was looking to sell at least $10 million worth of yet-to-be-launched WLFI tokens in exchange for buying the same amount of that project's native cryptocurrency. The sale would come with a 10% fee, the report said. Presumably, World Liberty reached out to projects whose tokens it already purchased, including Ether, USD Coin, Chainlink, Aave, Tron, and Uniswap, among others. On-chain data shows that World Liberty Financial currently holds $373 million worth of cryptocurrencies, the largest being ETH and wrapped Bitcoin. As wrapped Bitcoin's not real Bitcoin, by the way. Just, no. As Cointelegraph reported, World Liberty's most recent purchase occurred in the final week of January, where it scooped up $10 million worth of ETH. Cointelegraph reached out to several projects to confirm whether they received a token swap offer from World Liberty Financial. One project confirmed that it had not received any such offer from World Liberty. So massive demand for the WLFI tokens, apparently. So the Trump family launched it in the lead up to the November presidential election. And then once fully operational, the platform will let crypto holders earn interest through various DeFi protocols and borrow against their assets. This is extremely similar to all of the ones we saw go under in previous bull runs. And sorry for the dog barking. I'll close the window here in a second. But every single one, like you had BlockFi, I don't know, start naming them all. They all went under doing this exact thing. And the only difference here is that a presidential, a president, a sitting president, his family is launching this. I want to make something extremely clear with that, because a lot of the argument, and obviously I have some Trump and Melania, you got to do it for the history, I think. But other than that, like, obviously it's a meme token. It's a token. I don't suggest tokens, just like I don't suggest any of these DeFi these weird DeFi loans / like interest rate increase type platforms, right? They're always dangerous. You always end up getting rugged and losing all your money. It's the way it is. I mean, you have a 99% chance of that happening. But there was this argument that, well, and I understand it, but it was like, well, Trump and Melania run it. And I kind of thought along the same lines, like, oh, well, they won't rug it and they won't have the same result as the other meme tokens, which of course it did have the same result. And so will this have the same result as something like BlockFi? History would tell me yes, right? So this seems extremely dangerous for the World Liberty Financial. And I think this could be a partial strategy to help, like a lot of the Bitcoin maxis, maybe they are right. There's conspiratorial and say that, the Trump token, the Melania token, the WLFI tokens, all these are things just to separate you away from your Bitcoin. And maybe there is a little bit of truth to that, whether it's done intentionally or not. That is the result of it. I would be very careful with this just in general. It sounds like just another mess, especially in like 4 years if we have a different administration. It's so baffling too. And you would have thought it would have had a better influence on the price of Ethereum. But Ethereum's not recovering at all, right? I mean, okay, maybe a little bit. Maybe I'm being a little harsh. But it's really not recovering. Like Bitcoin's pretty much fully recovered. Ethereum's not even back over 3,000 with this large purchase. So this is crazy. Tron founder Justin Sun emerged as the largest WLFI buyer following a $30 million purchase in November. In January, Sun claimed he was investing an additional $45 million into the project. Despite its success, World Liberty has faced its fair share of criticism, with Trump's former White House communications director, Anthony Scaramucci, something like that, calling it a scammy grift that threatens to undermine the legitimacy of cryptocurrency in the industry. Billionaire investor Mark Cuban called the project's launch an act of desperation by Trump, adding that he didn't find anything innovative or valuable about it, which is kind of, look, Mark, you just got to not talk about Trump. Nobody believes any of the shit you say anymore. You just make stuff up and you hurt the real arguments. Okay? That's all you do. I'm so tired of seeing Mark run around crying like a little baby. Just shut up. You helped influence Hawk to a coin. Just shut your mouth and get out of crypto. Fucking, oh. Let me close this window. Oh, there we go. All right. I don't think so. Where's it at, right? Will the price of the actual token go up? Let's just end it here. Will the price of the token go up? Yes. Should you then stake that token on the platform? Maybe for a little bit. Remember, BlockFi did really good right at the beginning? But always know at some point, it's probably too good to be true if it sounds too good to be true, right? And I bet you will see everybody blowing up like, oh, look at this. I'm making 6% interest per day. And then they're going to take all that money in, and all that ends up being is a pyramid scheme, boys. You can't make something from nothing. That's just the way it is. It doesn't matter if he's the sitting president or it's the sitting president's family. Crazy. I have no idea what's getting into people these days. It's insane. I don't know. Anyways, interesting turn of events. MicroStrategy has halted Bitcoin purchases, says it will hold $30 billion US of Bitcoin, or that it does. So, or hodl it, right? So they're not getting rid of it. So since its initial $250 million Bitcoin acquisition in August of 2020, MicroStrategy has bought 471,107 Bitcoin as of February for roughly $30 billion US. Michael Saylor, executive chair of MicroStrategy, announced that the firm had broken with its pattern of selling shares of its common stock to purchase Bitcoin. In a February 3rd X post, Saylor said MicroStrategy was holding 471,107 Bitcoin as of February 2nd, which the firm purchased for more than $30 billion US. According to Saylor, MicroStrategy did not sell any of its stock shares between January 27th and February 2nd, just 7 days after the firm announced it had acquired more than 10,000 Bitcoin worth roughly $1 billion at the time. The MicroStrategy notice marked the end of 12 consecutive weeks of the company announcing Bitcoin purchases, starting shortly before the U.S. election in November of 2024. The firm stated accumulating crypto in August 2020 with a 21,454 Bitcoin purchase for $250 million and has gone on to become one of the largest Bitcoin holders in 2025. Also the best performing stock in 2024, if I recall as well. The price of Bitcoin dipped under $100,000 over the weekend as markets reacted to President Trump announcing tariffs on China, Mexico, and Canada. Obviously, we know that bounced back up to over $100,000 now. Many companies have followed MicroStrategy's footsteps by purchasing Bitcoin as a hedge against inflation, though the firm remains one of the biggest holders. Healthcare firm Semler Scientific and streaming platform Rumble have announced multi-million-dollar Bitcoin buys in the last 60 days, while crypto mining company Mara held 44,394 Bitcoin as of December 18th. Now, my question would also be is how did Mara sell off over this past weekend? I'd be interested. I haven't looked into that yet. In addition to private firms, many government agencies have floated the idea of establishing Bitcoin stockpiles. On January 23rd, Trump signed an executive order to create a working group to explore regulations around the strategy Bitcoin reserve in the U.S. The board of the Czech National Bank also voted in January to explore the other asset classes for its reserves without specifically mentioning Bitcoin. So obviously, I think overall we are seeing this proverbial Trojan horse of Bitcoin seeping into governments, seeping into, companies, all that sort of thing. And, I always hear these like, well, I own MicroStrategy stock. Well, why don't you just own Bitcoin at this point, right? I don't really understand why you would buy a stock who's in a company whose valuation is based off of an underlying asset that you can also purchase. It's just weird. I don't understand the logic in that. Because basically you're just trusting that they're going to be able to hold it, but then you also have to hold your stock. So, I mean, it's not any different than just buying Bitcoin and holding the Bitcoin. It seems ridiculous. We live in a clown world sometimes, but I think what's going to be really interesting as we run out of supply of Bitcoin is going to be just how massive of a push in the price it's going to be, especially if there's compounding factors such as utilizing the Federal Reserve to print money to invest in cryptocurrency. Then things get really, really weird, really, really fast. But like I said, again, this is kind of the plan from the beginning. So I'm I've been talking about this for almost 10 years now. Next year October will be 10 years. So I think I'm just super excited to see, how this all plays out. At the end of the day, the plan seems to be working. Oddly enough. We always talk about Texas being able to secede from the U.S. We talk about Texas and its power grid being separated from the U.S. and actually taking more power from Mexico than the U.S. We talk about Texas having its own Air Force and own military. We talk about Texas controlling a bunch of the military bases for the U.S. Army or the U.S. military. We talk about the original reason why, legally Texas could secede, all those sorts of things. But economically, Texas is its own country. and it's about to get really interesting. Now, this isn't necessarily related to cryptocurrency unless you consider the fact that Texas does have a bunch of cryptocurrency mining within it, and you could probably invest within these companies that are mining cryptocurrency on the Texas Stock Exchange potentially. But this is a weird one. The Texas Stock Exchange has just officially filed paperwork in hopes of gaining regulatory approval to start listing companies next year. It'll be called the TXSE and is targeting a 2026 launch after filing paperwork to become a national securities exchange, its parent company announced on Friday. The company aims to secure approval from the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission by the end of the year as it looks to challenge the dominance of New York's financial markets, the NYSE. TXSE's proposed mission is to counter the declining number of publicly traded companies by addressing what it describes as the high costs associated with going public and maintaining a listing. This marks a significant step forward, said Ann Peets, a Houston-based capital markets attorney at Reed Smith LP. Since its backers unveiled plans for the exchange last summer, details have been scarce. The recently submitted Form 1 application, which outlines trading operations, listing requirements, fees, and other key aspects, may not be publicly accessible for several weeks. Alongside the filing, TXSE announced it has raised $161 million in funding from over 4 dozen investors. The backers include major financial players such as BlackRock, Citadel, Charles Schwab, and prominent U.S. market makers and trading firms like Jump Trading. Quote, "It's an intriguing concept," end quote, said Schwab CEO Rick Wurster, who noted that the exchange could provide additional options for the firm and its clients. TXSE is positioning itself as a competitor to the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ, the two dominant securities marketplaces in the U.S. The exchange's headquarters will be housed in a new building in Dallas, which will feature of course, everybody in Texas knows if it's money, it's in Dallas. Which will feature executive offices, a conference center, and an iconic bell-ringing venue, according to a TXSE fact sheet. Despite its ambition, some analysts believe the exchange faces an uphill battle. Two market structure experts who spoke anonymously because they were not authorized to discuss the venture publicly said TXSE will need to offer compelling advantages to attract listings. The challenge is not unprecedented. IEX, another alternative exchange, spent 4 years attempting to lure public traded companies before ultimately abandoning the effort in 2019. Quote, "This is an intensely competitive space," said Peets. "Companies considering TXSE will need to see that it offers the same or better advantages than its rivals." Texas Governor Greg Abbott has voiced strong support for the exchange, stating in September that TXSE would bolster the state's financial influence and solidify its standing in the global economy. Now, how do I think this could be successful? Well, with the lightening regulations and clear regulations surrounding cryptocurrencies, I think that the TXSE should specifically target cryptocurrency companies for listings. And that could be its competitive advantage, right? So cryptocurrency mining companies, cryptocurrency DeFi projects, whatever it may be, target the, all of the DePIN stuff, target those companies primarily with, an easier, faster path to getting listed than, say, like the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ. And I think you could end up in a very interesting position. So I'm kind of hoping that's where it's going. I'm not necessarily certain that's where it's going, but that's kind of where I want to see it going. Also, I took a dig at Dallas, but they're not real Texans, so we don't worry about it. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about Solana. I've been talking about Solana on my Twitter for quite some time now, kind of pointing out that as far as where all of the liquidity is going, it's being dumped into Solana and at a breakneck pace, right? There's a couple others that are starting to catch up, and we'll talk about those. But Ethereum has been the king of the DeFi space for a very long time. DeFi meaning decentralized finance, including things like NFTs, non-fungible tokens, as well as actual tokens you know, meme coins, all that sort of stuff. It all used to be on Ethereum, right? It was on Ethereum. You used MetaMask. Everybody kind of figured it out. And you had then the layer 2s come out for them. A lot of good layer 2s which are coming out that are helping. I've been seeing good stuff from Optimism, Arbitrum, a bunch of different ones, right? I think Optimism and Arbitrum are probably... Optimism is the one I've been using a lot lately. Anyways, that's a side note. A side note doesn't really matter because where is the money going? Well, the last 30 days have shown that Ethereum has fallen to Solana in the 30-day revenue. And now what we see is $119 million in revenue on Solana versus the $107 million in revenue on Ethereum. This is massive. If you, like, as much as I'm a proof of work guy, right? As much as I'm a proof of work guy, there is no doubt in my mind that Solana, from a price perspective, is going to be competing with Ethereum by the end of this cycle on price as well. Now, does that mean I think it's going to go up to 3,000 or whatever? No, I think Ethereum's also coming down, as we've been seeing here quite recently. And I don't think the presidential family is going to completely fix that issue because the Ethereum Foundation has a selling problem. And they're dumping their money into non-crypto related funds that are woke and garbage. And if you're wasting your money on Starbucks drinks for a trans day at whatever it may be, I don't know. But if you're wasting it on that and not doing what Solana is doing, which is taking all of their funds and dumping it into developer projects for the Solana blockchain, well, then it's obvious who's going to be the better blockchain and who's going to get more attention. The developments surrounding things like Phantom have completely destroyed like things like MetaMask. I mean, obviously Phantom now has Ethereum on it. It has, you know, Sui as well. Sui, however you want to pronounce it. All this stuff is just going parabolic as far as like the amount of trading going on Solana. And it would be amiss if I just ignored it and said, well, it's not proof of work, let's not pay attention to it. Because there's things that Solana is doing from a development perspective that is outpacing every single other cryptocurrency project in the space. And that is something that, you know, a lot of the proof of work guys, you know, I mean, go look at the Nautilus wallet for Ergo and compare that to Phantom. Okay? It's nowhere close. Go take the Alephium wallet. Which one's that called? I don't know. Go compare it. It's not even close. Go compare the, I don't know, the Ironfish wallet, which the Oreo wallet from Ironfish. That one barely even works. You have to send transactions in like amounts of 10. It's a disaster. The fact of the matter is that what Solana is doing from a development perspective, the rest of these proof of work blockchains, if they want to be taken seriously, need to start doing. That's just the end of it. You got to take the funds too from your foundations and put them back into your project. Like, we're not giving you funds or letting you take these foundations so that you can pay for crap that has nothing to do with your project. And Ethereum deserves every single piece of negative press that it's gotten, hands down, 100%. And Vitalik is running Ethereum into the ground. It's a disaster, dude. Like, it is crazy that we're even at this point that Solana surpassed it. And you want to talk about like some real craziness? Talk about like Sui or Hyperliquid, right? So these are coming up fast. I believe Hyperliquid even is coming up on surpassing ETH soon, right? The competition's coming back up really quickly, I think, for cryptocurrency. And so it's really going to be interesting to see what falls by the wayside. There's a lot more options than there were before. So, anyways. Somebody asked in chat, is there a Radiant wallet that works? Yeah, the Photonic wallet. I'm not going to open it up for you right now, but I will type it into chat for you. 1 second. I will type it into chat for you. 1 second. Ooh. Photonic. It works pretty well. I do like it. Radiant's done a really good job with their peer-to-peer token swapping mechanism that needs no third party. That's really awesome. Thanks for following, by the way, Jerem. They also are doing a really cool thing with mintable tokens by GPUs, which helps decentralize and actually give intrinsic value to the tokens you're minting, which is awesome. Plus, you got to use a little bit of Radiant to do it, so you have intrinsic value not only from the power from minting it with a GPU, but also from the Radiant that has its value derived from mining. Just, it's a bummer where they ended up with ASICs allowing, you know, the entity to mine on them, which I guess we found out later was those Dragon Ball people. I'm not so sure, you know, from the perspective of public perception that they're going to be able to fight out of this hole. But if they keep doing the work that they're doing in the DeFi space, I could say from a proof of work perspective, it's outpacing. From a proof of work development aspect, Radiant DeFi options are outpacing everybody else as far as the layer 1 technology going on behind the scenes for it. But they have a lot of other issues too. So there is that. But I think we all got lazy. I talked about this before. We all got lazy. Everyone got lazy. It is what it is. You know who's not being lazy? Mr. Daniel Keller and Davey Wittick from Flux on February 1st had a long live stream. I'm going to show you guys a couple of the interesting parts from it that I found. I think I have the timestamps in my head. We'll go over it. But essentially, the big one is going to be actual partnership with Nvidia. Previously, they announced the partnership, like most people pointed out. And I think, to be fair, it wasn't a true partnership. They even admitted that in this particular segment. Now, supposedly, it's going into full partnership. They're going to have Nvidia on tap for help with development, etc., and access to different tools, all of that sort of thing. A lot of people excited about this one.
Backup internet, and it is satellite. Okay, anyway, my ADD is totally kicking in. I'm too excited. Okay, so Davey, without further ado, let's walk everyone through so nobody leaves this live stream without an understanding of what we are doing and why this is massive, okay? So take the next 10 minutes. Stop what you're doing. Stop
looking it up. Let's get to him talking. So it's right here.
Now, that doesn't mean they're out there somewhere that they don't work with them. But what does this mean to us? Davey, go ahead and give it to them.
So, I mean, and that's a good point, B-More. One of my biggest gripes with Flux, and we'll just put... Flux is a company. It's not a blockchain. At the end of the day, that's how I feel about it. Flux has cool technology as a company, but they are not fully as open and open source as I would like to see, right?
Because I see a lot of questions, right? What does this mean? What level? What this and that? Okay, so we are an NPN partner. So what does that mean?
Basically, that presentation, Davey.
I'll go through this presentation. So basically, we're going to go through the presentation here, so you know what the partnership is all about. And then if there's any questions still left, I'll answer them gladly. No issue. A little bit of a backstory. We did graduate from the Inception partner.
So it was Inception partner, yeah.
November, December 2023. So I went back to Nvidia and said, okay, what does that mean for us? And they're like, yeah, you're no longer part of the Inception partner program. I'm like,
I'm checking out io.net, Alice. You were talking about basically the whole idea of mining on your dime BS. I mean, that's true. Most of it is still mining. I've heard a lot less from, Vast AI, for example, now. Salad's doing it a little bit less. I don't really like the payout methods of Salad. I know you can get paid out in PayPal, but then you're going to run into the issues of, the IRS coming at you for getting more than $600. Salad really isn't a scalable operation, from a mining perspective. It's not like something you can really scale up and go, at least from my perspective. I think if you want something scalable that is basically being utilized for AI models a majority of the time, and you don't want to cut a specific partnership and go through the whole seeding phase, or all that, well, that would be for going public fully, but go through the whole phase of spinning up a data center, building that all out yourself in a massive one. If you just want to have, like, I want to provide some rigs from the house, DIY style, that sort of thing. I mean, Vast AI, we'll see where io.net goes. I've reached out to them to see if I can get in on that program. And then, obviously, there's Chlor AI. I don't think that gets utilized really for anything but mining crypto, though.
That's great. Now what? And they're like, well, now we can potentially start talking partnerships. So
am I behind hacking Richard Hart? No. Is he getting hacked right now?
Hell no. Yeah, let's do it. This is interesting. So what is this? And what's the benefits for us? What's the benefits for Nvidia?
I think a really important thing to note here is the announcement of this partnership from Nvidia, where it went from a hell no with a crypto company, Flux, to a yes, let's do it, is indicative of the lightening of regulatory issues in the United States surrounding cryptocurrency. I think that's a bullish signal from a regulatory perspective.
What's the benefits for Flux itself, the coin, and to make sure everybody's on the same page. This is a partnership between Nvidia and Influx, and we're going to be leveraging all the Flux technologies that we've built out over the last few years. So we're going to focus basically on anything AI, anything compute going forward, and we're going to basically help build out Nvidia, their decentralized offering as well. So how this is all going to go? Let's take one step back. I want to talk about the benefits for Nvidia actually for a second here as well, before we go into the benefits for Flux and Influx. Basically, Nvidia is going to, and all its customers are basically going to leverage our technology, where we basically have our decentralized infrastructure.
Hey, Davey, I think we have a slide with all this information on it.
Yeah, I think he had it right here.
The growth and developer traction.
So he just goes through and reads this for you guys, and maybe my voice will be a little bit more clear, so I'll just read it for you guys. He didn't necessarily have a fantastic mic like Daniel has there. So the benefits are going to be technical optimization, innovation, credibility, and market positioning, ecosystem growth and developer attraction, strategic access to cutting-edge technology. I think that's going to be extremely important. I think they mentioned there's another partnership here that we're going to talk about in relation to access to technology for the platform, but scaling enterprise adoption. As a systems engineer, I don't know how viable necessarily enterprise adoption with anything tied to blockchain really actually is at this point. Unless it's like a newer company and maybe in the AI space, I could see that. But traditional infrastructure, you know, you still can't get a lot of people to even move over to AMD, even though Intel processors have those vulnerabilities. You try to go and be like, hey, there's a newer, better thing, and they won't make that switch for either 10 years or something ridiculous, or if something actually breaks, and then they're like, oh, you were right. Those are like the only two just in that space in general. And so like going up and being like, hey, I want to propose utilizing the blockchain for decentralized infrastructure. Like, I don't see that ever passing a board of directors in any traditional sense ever, but maybe I could be wrong.
So what that means is basically we get now, like I said, we got access to a lot of other folks.
You can barely get people to move to AWS and Azure from a security, like mainly from security perspective concerns, right? Like that's already difficult.
Now, within Nvidia, but we'll also be building out our Flux Edge, our Flux Cloud solutions, and so we're going to have to bring in more.
So I was reading these. So competitive edge in decentralized space, revenue growth. I think that's obviously going to be important. Education and training, strengthen go-to-market strategies, and synergy with the Flux blockchain, which I assume is going to be like payment systems, all that sort of stuff. So hopefully this will be good for both Nvidia and Flux as well. And so I guess the benefits to Nvidia is they are going to give them access to their decentralized technologies. And then I think the others, like market expansion, Nvidia is not going to benefit much there. Proof of concept for enterprise decentralization. This is bullish, I think, for cryptocurrency in general. I mean, so I'm just talking about convincing people to move to decentralized infrastructure. And if we actually want that to be a thing in the future, then these are the types of things that have to happen for that to happen. So I'll go back and slap myself and say, just look at the next slide. That is going to eventually lead to that. I just don't think the timeline's like tomorrow, right? I'm not saying go buy Flux now because it's going to blow through the roof and be the same price as Nvidia. That's not what we're really looking at here. Diversification, not really worried about that. As far as the partner program, they're going to get access to products and technology, training, sales, service support, marketing, and business partnerships. All pretty standard stuff. And as far as their big announcement that I was interested in is going to be their other partnership, which is with Next Gen Cloud and Hyperstack. So that's going to be to deploy Blackwell GPUs and access to enterprise grade GPUs for their decentralized infrastructure, which is going to be good for them, obviously getting AI companies to utilize their platform, which I think at the end of the day is the goal. What kind of access does that get? This is going the same direction that I think a lot of these projects have, like what Power GPU, Power Meta, like all these Clore, all of these projects have gone away from the DIY miner, like you and me and the guys with like the home lab, and this is basically because they need a competitive advantage in the market, right? This partnership is exciting for Flux, terrible for anyone trying to be competitive with Flux nodes, right? And all that sort of thing. Because at the end of the day, they're going to be having competitive prices for more powerful hardware than you have, like L40s, H100s, A100s. And the large AI companies are going to go with those because they'll be verified partners. They'll have, actual data center infrastructure with redundancy, all that sort of stuff. And then the individual that's trying to DIY home do it is not going to have that same competitive edge. Now, are there going to be different tiers, levels, all that sort of stuff? Yeah, I'm sure that it will be there. It's just something that I've noticed, like Core AI kind of did it. Somebody mentioned in chat earlier, we're starting to see that move, I think, in the Flux space as well, more towards, these partnerships with large data centers, all that sort of stuff. And the DIY guy that wants to provide, processing node or whatever it may be, it just isn't going to be able to be competitive in any of those markets anymore, because it's going to drive the price down so much, right? Which is, the same thing that happened with Bitcoin mining as well, right? So, I'm really curious at what point or where, how do I put it? Where at what point we find the next, I can buy a GPU or a CPU or whatever it may be, and I can start building an asset class where that opportunity arises. Like, obviously, like we have the big plays like speculative mining stuff. We'll still be able to mine to a certain extent, but will it be to the level of 2016 through 2020 cycles? I don't know. Probably not, especially with, blockchain really kind of, it is moving more centralized at the end of the day. All the platforms are. It's moving proof of stake, centralized control, large mining farms, rich investors pushing the regular guy out left and right. And it's like it's just like what happened with the internet. It's no different, right? A few people come out on top, and that's kind of where we end up. Doesn't mean there's not opportunity. It just means the barrier to entry increases astronomically, right? So everybody's been asking if there's any update on Xeggex. I'm going to take a look and see if there is. But to get things started, I woke up this morning, grabbed myself a coffee and a kolache, and I'm looking at my phone, getting ready to drive the kiddo to school. Okay, too much information. I get it. There's more. I could have given you more, but we'll stop there. And I'm looking at my phone, and I see Warthog post, which is a cryptocurrency I'm kind of into, if you guys weren't aware, that they were maybe going to have to fork to secure wallets. And I'm like, what are they talking about? And so I click into it, and then they're like, it's because of this Xeggex thing. So what happened on Xeggex? Well, apparently Xeggex posted this at 3:34 a.m. saying, "Dear users, in this hard time, our CEO was hacked and he lost TG account and Xeggex community group. Beside that, we still don't know details about it. Also, what is important in this moment is that we succeed to lock down wallets so funds are safe. Problem with logins is still there due to that we disconnected the databases from the network, and we will go in the background to examine everything. Next news will be more detailed after we get a wider picture." Now, of course, there hasn't been an update yet, and people are still having login issues. Oddly enough, if you go to Xeggex, earlier at least when I went to Xeggex, okay, now we're getting an internal server error for the markets. Let's see their main page. So they're completely down now. That's crazy. Okay, give me a second. Let's go run DNS lookup. So their records are going through Cloudflare. Let me make sure none of my information's on here. I always forget if they do that BS on MX Toolbox. They don't, right? Yeah, okay. So it looks like their DNS records are pointed to Cloudflare, so it would be on the server side of things. They got their mail or their MX records going through Zoho. Let's look up a Whois here real quick and see who their host is. Okay, so Tusco Domains. The last update was actually today, interestingly enough, to the Whois database. Well, my friends, it's an ever-evolving story. Let me move my camera. Well, whatever. Doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. There's no information because they pulled it all. Let's do a reverse lookup. Oh, that would be no, not a reverse. I need the IP. Go back to the DNS check. Come on. Why does it keep doing that? Fuck up one time. There we go. Well, their DNS records just changed again. Nope, still down. Okay. Well, they haven't updated anything. And now the website's completely offline. So it looks like to me, Xeggex might be completely out of the game now at this point. That doesn't make much sense. The other thing so if you lose, all right, so if you lose your Telegram account and you're foreign, a lot of people have their numbers tied to their Telegram account. And what ends up happening is that individual can have multi-factor authentication tied to it. So it's completely possible that the hacker executed some social engineering on the CEO, got a hold of the Telegram account, forwarded the two-factor authentication for an admin console, and got in that way. Now, they're using Cloudflare, so we don't know what hosting service they use, but in a lot of cases, you know, those hosting services will have some sort of multi-factor, but you can log into them and then you can get console access and root access and all that. We've done guides on all this stuff. I assume they're using some sort of form of cloud hosting. I don't know which one. We can't tell from the DNS records at this time. It is extremely important that if you are running a project like this, that you utilize some sort of hardware two-factor authentication for your hosting. And that means a security key, and only use a hosting service that supports a multi-factor authentication type of FIDO2 or newer, and that it makes sure that you have some sort of like either hardware key or biometric two-factor authentication. I think MacBooks got them built in, that sort of thing. But it's, to see this happen is kind of like, I don't know. There could have been some social engineering where he got them to log in. It could have been a session jacking, but seeing that they got a hold of the Telegram account, it doesn't sound like session jacking. It sounds like they were utilizing traditional SMS multi-factor authentication, which is terrible, and you're kind of stupid if you do that. So either they're stupid or they're malicious. I don't know which one yet. What do you guys think? You think Xeggex is being stupid or malicious, or potentially both? I don't know. Anyways, we're going to say it again because we have to say it every single time this happens. not your keys, not your crypto. What does that mean? It means don't keep your cryptocurrency on a centralized exchange. You do not have the keys to the cryptocurrency exchange wallet, and therefore, if the exchange takes down their site and their databases, you can no longer access that exchange. What I will try to do is follow up with the lead dev Sifu from Warthog over the next few days and see if he can give me more insight on any insider information that he has. Make sure you got the notification bell clicked down below and hit that sub button. Hopefully we'll get to the bottom of it. But I get it. Sometimes it's easier to leave it in the exchange. What if the price goes up? No. No. Don't do it. Now, unfortunately, a lot of people have lost a lot of money. And if you're a miner, man, there's really no reason for you to do it. Like, at all. You go in, you sell when you need to sell, set some stop markers. Maybe it's in there for 24 hours and you get out. Sure, you might get caught a couple times here and there, a few dollars, whatever. You definitely shouldn't be mining to an exchange. It's ridiculous. These days, too, you can swap most of the currencies in wallets and stuff like that. It's crazy. Douglas says, Warthog locked the Wart Xeggex Addy today, and they updated wallets today to secure the funds. Thanks for the update, sir. And welcome to the stream, Hawk. Make sure you guys go subscribe to Hawk. Let's talk about Coinbase secures UK regulatory approval. Coinbase has been granted regulatory approval by the UK's Financial Conduct Authority, the FCA, to operate as a virtual asset service provider, VASP, making it the largest registered crypto service provider in the UK. This development allows Coinbase to expand its offerings of cryptocurrency and fiat services in the region, marking a significant step in its international expansion strategy. The approval is seen as a move towards greater adoption of cryptocurrencies in the UK and provides a clear regulatory framework for crypto operations. This is actually extremely good news, as it is similar to the news within the United States of clear regulatory frameworks, which is at least a stepping stone into what can I do without getting arrested and put in jail, which is kind of what sheep and normies are looking for, right? Like, let's be honest, most of the time, a majority of the population is scared of everything because they're afraid of being punished for something that they did. And so if there's not clear regulatory framework around it and they're not certain, they're scared like little babies and they won't do anything in that sector, which has stifled innovation within cryptocurrency over the Biden administration. It was one of the most damaging things that I've ever seen happen to cryptocurrency was the Biden administration and their lack of regulatory framework surrounding cryptocurrency and constant FUD being thrown at cryptocurrency, scaring the absolute ever-living crap out of every individual in the United States as it pertained to cryptocurrency, and obviously impacting everybody, even down to the YouTubers that didn't get crypto ads anymore because YouTube was scared. So it's good news because it means that people that, you know, are afraid of their government will invest now, because they'll be told that Daddy will say they can. Like, oh, thank you, Daddy. I can buy some Bitcoin. I don't know what accent that was. Tell me what accent you guys think that is. I think he was racist, but I'm not sure how. Let's talk about miner releases for the week, and we'll get into it. We had quite a few things popping out. Obviously, SRB miner version 2.7.6, which added support for the the Nvidia Blackwell architecture, as well as a new cryptocurrency Cryptix hash. For those of you that aren't aware, Cryptix is essentially another Caspa fork, and it is now available for trade on one of those Mexican ones, or I think it's MECX or something like that. Along those lines. Anyways, it is available on an exchange now. Profitability, I think somebody said in the chat, was like 730.90 is making $12 a day. So I guess a couple dollars a day. That's not bad. Of course, there'll be other releases later on. They do have a faucet right now as well. So if you're interested in that, let me know. We'll do a WTF is and how to mine it, because pretty much everything's out for support for it. No longer a speculative mine. And they did add ProgPal QAI. And that is because that particular cryptocurrency has launched onto mainnet. Now, it does tout that there's going to be some sort of merge mining with other ProgPal cryptocurrencies, but I have not seen any pool support for that at this time. I did tweet at them to ask them if that is something. I don't know at this point. It is ProgPal, so it's not something I'm going to go through and retest, because I've already tested ProgPal on everything, so I don't need to test like specifically this coin, because it's going to perform the same. What'll be interesting is testing out, obviously, the merge mining and all of that, if it ever comes into fruition. Hopefully it will. Then we had the release of LOL Miner 1.94a. Unfortunately, this did not get an update for Blackwell GPUs. However, in conjunction with the update adding support for newer drivers, the drivers had gone through for the 50 series, and then this update happened, and so some algorithms worked on LOL Miner with the 50 series Nvidia Blackwell GPUs, but all they added was some bugs, some bug fixes for Conflux mining and ETC hash mining on the 7600, and for Conflux, the Nvidia GPUs. Pretty inconsequential at this point. I believe the previous version, which was also last week, it added a little bit more substantial as far as it added support for Conflux on Nvidia cards, which was really what people were looking for, I guess. As far as that's concerned, I don't know who's mining Conflux anymore. If you are, let me know in the comment section. Especially if you're stateside now with the potential of no capital gains, you know, on US based cryptocurrencies. I don't know why you'd mine a Chinese one. It seems like a bad financial decision. And here's the big one that I'm excited about. Rigel Miner 1.20.1 has just added RTX 50 series GPU support. So Nvidia Blackwell. I got the 5080 right here running on Rigel Miner up there. You can see it. Hopefully you can't see the details, because once we're done here, we're going to go see what this is mining Xelhash at over on twitch.tv/blindrun. So make sure you're following over there. We'll stop the stream on YouTube, move over to Twitch, and do some testing after the show. And we're going to do all the testing for Rigel Miner. So there you go. Now, my favorite part of the show is Rig Wars, but this week I didn't do a montage. I messed up the audio on the montage last week. I'm struggling to get all this stuff kind of sorted. I'm going to push this Rig Wars section off a week, or not a week. I'm going to push it off to Wednesday, and we'll get back to it, okay? The final thing I want to do today is Red Panda Mining released a video of his messy room. We're going to take a look at it and give it a like and have all that stuff go through for you guys. We got all that fan noise, baby. Thoughts on the alpha price? I have no thoughts on ASIC coins. I don't pay attention to them. You can take all those iPolos and throw them in the trash, bro. All of them, throw them in the trash. I want one of those boards over there. I haven't bought one yet.
Do not buy the Lucky Miner, I guess LV08 is the model. The one that I received doesn't even work, doesn't even connect to Wi-Fi, doesn't mine. Tried solo mining onto it to my own node, my own Bitcoin node, and it just does not work. Let me know if anyone's had experience with this miner, but otherwise my experience thus far with this thing is really bad, and that's probably the last thing I'm going to talk about regarding the Lucky Miner. Hey guys, Arpim here. Hope you're doing well. Having a really great day. This video, I wanted to give you guys just kind of like a vlog update regarding my basement, and just it's kind of like overtaken my life in terms of I just have so much crap right now, and I am extremely unorganized and boxes everywhere. I can't even walk through my own basement sometimes, and it's just
Why don't you clean it up?
getting crazy.
No,
I got
my,
a lot of packages. I
my
got a lot
farm
of stuff on the
before
floor,
we put
GPUs,
everything in
power
storage
supplies, not
was
even opened
way
yet.
worse.
Basic miners, boxes,
Way
everything
worse.
not even opened yet. It's definitely a first world problem. My main
You know,
test bench area is always overtaken.
You know Asmongold? The like really dirty streamer? When my girlfriend came over to the farm, she was like, "You live like Asmongold." And I was like, damn, I better fix this.
And by a GPU, my test bench, ASIC miners, and the way that I have things set up,
Like,
with
at
this
least
one
there's no
table,
dust.
has really hindered me in terms of like making videos or testing things for longer than, you know, like a day, because I mainly only had one area to really do it. So just recently, just last week, and I didn't vlog this, but I decided to, you know, enough is enough. I am deciding to build a few more test bench areas so that I can have ongoing projects
Sounds like
on
a
the
good
table,
plan.
and I don't need to swap things out every single time something new comes in, like a GPU or an ASIC or whatever that comes in, which I haven't even touched yet, because the simple fact of I just didn't have table space or project areas to really test things or review things. And one of the other things is my, you know, power testing areas. I have a 120 volt power meter and a 240 volt power area here for testing a lot of different hardware. And I was actually supposed to have a second area, as you guys can see here, but look, it's already taken up by just hardware sitting here, which, you know, this BC250 I've been wanting to get set up for.
Just set it up already, dude. I just hear a lot of whining and not a lot of doing.
For the longest time. And, you know, I bought a switch.
He's like, oh, look at me. I have all this equipment I'm not even using.
Cables and everything for it. And it's just been sitting here, and I have multiple CPU motherboard combos, and there was a 5950X CPU here somewhere that I broke. Lukewarm Miner was supposed to fix it. I don't know where it is. I just got crap laying around everywhere, and I'm getting sick of it.
Poor
Boxes
me.
and everything completely on the floor. I have had zero time, or maybe that's an excuse, or I've had zero mental capacity.
I'm gonna call you out. I think it's an excuse, and I think you went on vacation when you were not supposed to go on vacation.
Capacity to deal with that. So my next area here, I mean, you guys know my like low power shelf over here, which is in shambles, to be honest.
You can take those Chia miners and throw them in the ground too. Give them to PETA or something.
It needs to be fully redone. I've definitely let this area go. I mean, to be honest, I've let my whole basement go, okay? Not only these two areas, this area, but this area too. You know, I just got stuff laying around everywhere. I got a lot of the giveaway stuff that I need to ship out. So thanks to Crypto Miner Bros and Coin Mining Central, ASIC Marketplace and whatnot. I got the S19K Pro, AL0 mini Doge miner there, I think. So I need to get those shipped out. But, you know, just having things everywhere, as you all know, I have a lot of like projects that I need to do, a lot of things on the go. And I think it's...
No, I feel like this too. I have so many projects. Like, I have all of these individual GPUs I haven't gotten to testing yet, you know, but we're knocking it out.
It's definitely taken over not only my basement, but just everything. I don't know how to explain it. And I know a lot of people are going to say, Red Panda, this is a first world problem. Come on, you got to have the ability to just focus on one thing and just go for it. Well, I don't want to make excuses.
No, I mean, so here's the problem that Panda has that I think I started having for a little bit too, and maybe he can verify this or not. what ends up happening is that you are incentivized by YouTube to make a lot of content. And that means you have you basically on YouTube, you have to release a video a day or they kill your channel. And so what that means as a YouTuber and your revenue. So what that means as a YouTuber, if you're a YouTube miner, you're constantly having to make content. Well, if you're constantly making content, you have a lot less time to actually do the mining part. And so it can be extremely difficult to balance that. And you do get this ADHD behavior where you're like, oh, squirrel, I'm going to build this. I'm going to do this. That'll be a great video. That'll be fun. And then you get the parts and you're like, I just got to get a video done today. I don't have time to go spend 16 hours building this rig, filming the B-roll, doing all that, getting it up. You know, like, for example, the 5080 testing took what? 24 to 30 hours to make that one video. Well, if I only release one video on YouTube in that amount of time, which would be like a whole week for me after I have my day job and everything, my analytics will be crushed so hard that it won't even show it to my subscribers. So you end up in this terrible position where you have to make a video, but you don't have enough time to make the video that you want to make. And I think that happens to a lot of crypto mining YouTubers.
Or anything, guys, but you know, I try to make videos and content every day, and I
think the
bulk of my time has been like answering emails, video editing, handling social media, and I'm gonna have to say most of my time,
well, I mean, come on, bro, you got to get off Twitter.
has been, I guess,
that's me, I was talking to myself,
over the past, I guess for the past couple months even, or maybe the past year, I always talk with a lot of people, you know, like on Discord and stuff, and so that truly, I think that's what's been taking a lot of my time. And in a way, it kind of stops me, like makes me lose focus. I don't know if any of you guys have that issue, but like when I'm like doing something and then, you know, I talk to someone else or, you know, focus on something else, I lose track of the whatever project that I was working on. So I've been, you know, trying to work on not really, you know, staying on Discord too much or Twitter. I think X has taken a lot of my time recently.
Yeah,
I don't know why I've been going on X, you know, Twitter a lot over the past couple months. I truly do like going on X all the time. So I think being on X all the time really has been hindering my focus. So I'm gonna probably stop going on X and Discord. And
yeah,
just
but if you do that,
the tasks,
you start losing interactions. Like it's a double-edged sword. Freaking salad. Control-Alt-Delete.
at hand. So I know someone's gonna ask, Red Panda, why don't you hire somebody? Aren't you big enough now to hire someone where you can, you know, get somebody to test stuff, record all the information for whatever that's gonna be testing? And the answer to that is yes, I could. But the thing is, and this is where I get experience from other YouTubers who have, you know, started companies and started hiring people, you really got to find somebody who is really, you know, interested in this type of thing, and also someone that doesn't have to be micromanaged. I personally am someone who is not good at managing someone. There's definitely no way I am good enough to do that, nor do I, you know, want to tell somebody what to do. I hate doing that. My personality is not like that. I like to do everything myself. I don't know, I'm not like you can say I'm a perfectionist in a way. Of course I'm not, because I have crap everywhere, but I think that's just due to I just have so many things going on, so I've just like let myself go. Like you've all seen,
Twitter is a cesspit. It's so bad for your mental health. I think it's a tool. I think it's a tool, and you can end up not using it properly, right? Because I have. But if you are a content creator, there's no getting around the fact that you have to be on Twitter if you're a content creator. End of story. End of story. Like, that is just part of your job description. And that's the way it is. Like, you have to have that social media presence.
GPUs. I've got CPU mining rigs that have been off for a better part of the past year. I haven't turned these on or even bothered to just, you know, maintain them or fix them. I think some of them are broken. So hiring someone that has the same skill set that I have can, you know, do this stuff, it's going to be hard. And also to pay somebody a pretty good living wage, that's also considerably hard right now because the Canadian dollar has been sinking, inflation's on the rise, cost of living, everything has gone up. But anyways, I do have a future goal of wanting to, you know, take my work, take everything out of here one day into a office or warehouse. Like you guys can see, like this is where all my work here is under my house, right? This is in my like basement garage area. So obviously not ideal to be doing this at home. And then of course, you know, I have family and stuff, responsibilities. So again, I kind of lose focus when I'm here working and like my kids stomping, and it just causes, you know, more headaches. So I do have a dream someday. So if crypto decides to, you know, really moon this year or next year, I may have the ability to potentially maybe buy a warehouse or an office warehouse, something like that. Nothing too big. I probably only need like less than like 1,000 square foot area where I can set up like, you know, my testing areas, and I'll probably, like I'm doing here, I have a test bench here, and I'm in the process of, I need to run more 240 volt 30 amp circuits. Okay, so I'm gonna have one here, and I have the Nerd Gears 240 volt metered D-Rock meter PDU here that I'm gonna hook up to it. So I'm gonna be able to do testing on this table here, and then I have another test bench that I just put here. I bought a, you know, just a Costco fold out table because just in case, you know, I'm not gonna buy like an expensive workbench from like Home Depot that cost a couple $100. I bought this, you know, perfectly fold out 6-foot table from Costco for $60 Canadian. So about, I think 35, 40 USD. And it's the perfect table. Okay, so I'm planning to do the same thing here, running a 240
I don't do
30 amp
giveaways,
conduit
Papa Lip.
here. Okay, and which my 200 amp.
I don't do giveaways. I don't do pre-roll sponsorships. I don't make money. I'm just working a regular job, brother.
Panels are right here, and thankfully I do have a few extra.
No, I don't
240
take equipment and stuff from. I mean, I think the way that Red Panda does it, where he will take like equipment for review and then give it away, I think that's a great way to do it. I'm just more of the mindset of now, especially after all the experiences I've had, I just don't want to take any equipment from anyone. I just don't want to deal with it.
Amp breakers, yeah, I'm completely full on this one. So yeah, these areas I'm hoping to have set up as just other, you know, hardware reviewing areas.
I keep all my equipment to
you know,
test.
mainly GPUs, and of course, you know, ASICs and stuff I'll have over here. Right now I'm just setting up Salad on a lot of my my systems that I've been pretty much neglecting. I know there's been a new version of Salad, I think 6.8 or 1.6.8 or something. So my 3090s are back on, 3060s are turning on. I don't know if it's been good. One of my 3090s earned $5 the other day, so that was pretty good, but that was short-lived. So anyways, guys, yeah, I'm just doing a lot of stuff right now. Some of the like behind the scenes of what I've been doing. The hard thing about me is, you know, I want to vlog everything that I'm doing.
Oh, it didn't give away the Casper.
Sometimes I just need to put the camera down and just focus
to be fair, they did send me a KSO.
Plus, I'm going to be leaving in like 2 weeks.
But I
from
said
now
not
to go
to buy
travel.
it.
So that's like another stress where I won't be able to make videos for like
that.
2 weeks because I'm going on a trip with my family. So yeah, like another person may ask, Red Panda, why don't you hire someone to help you clean up? Well, that's another problem because a lot of the stuff that I do want to clean up, I need to organize,
GPUs?
or most of them, I need to make videos about it. Like, you know, I've been wanting to make videos on, I got 6 of these CMP P102-100, I think these are called, 10 gigabyte. Pretty much, I think these are like 1080 Ti's, like old school crypto mining cards. I got these from Nerd Gears. I have not been able to make a rig. I've been wanting to make a rig of these, and I ordered a bunch of stuff from Parallel Miner. I bought extra power supplies and stuff that I still need to, again, I need to reorganize everything in my place here. So yeah, this is just a video.
Yeah, I think it'll get a lot better once you just unpack everything and then break the boxes down and get them out of there. I think it'll feel
explaining to
way
you guys,
better.
you know, what my long-term, you know, thinking is, and kind of like a lot of the issues that I've been dealing with recently in terms of just having hardware everywhere, projects and videos that I want to create, but I just have not been able to have the, how do you say it, like recurring swapping out of hardware where I only have one test bench area where I was doing that. So I'm gonna,
I mean, you can say that you test the box the day it comes in, but like if you are doing, you know, a quick, like, let's say I took the 5080 and I could do, like in the past, I used to just do like a quick low effort video, like here's the hash rate, right? The problem with that is it's not really good evergreen content. You're not doing your due diligence, and you create shit content with potentially false information, right? So I think your test methodology like has to be a lot longer than just a day.
let's start cleaning up this test bench area, have the ability to have another area
Thanks
to
for the
keep
follow,
hardware
me.
on while I'm testing other hardware. And then on this side, like I showed
Would you
guys,
recommend
once I
walking a
run more
power
power
agreement
here,
now
I'm
or
gonna have
waiting for
another set of
changes?
hardware
Ah, that's
on
a
this
hard
table,
one, right?
And
So right now, what do you got? You got essentially potential for energy prices to come down, right? But they also might not. It depends on the price, I think, right? Like if you're gonna lock in under 6, probably cool, right? If it's over 8, no.
on that table. And I am looking into either getting another server
nice rack.
or a shelf of some sort right here
Well, you
to
have,
have
like,
some of my server stuff. Because I
30
just got
U
this
available.
Octo
Why
server
do you need
and
it?
I have
Why don't
not been
You got 30 U
able
there. That
to
Octo
really
server's
work on
only
this
like
at
4
all.
of it.
Again, my test bench is full, area is full. I got crap everywhere. Just my life, guys. I don't know how to explain it. I'm a one-man show, okay? I hate saying that. I always say that, but it's true. I don't know if a lot of people say doing YouTube is easy, but to be honest, I think it's pretty hard, especially at the scale that I've been doing it with all the hardware that I have. I still do it all myself.
No,
I don't hire.
Doing YouTube's hard. It takes a lot of time. I mean, like, especially if you're going to do like B-roll, script writing, testing, chart generation, editing, like, it's a
I don't
lot
have
of
any
work.
video editors. I don't have anyone doing my social media. I don't have anyone installing, you know, Windows on a PC.
I have an editor. Shout out. He only does clips from the live shows, though. I still edit all the main videos right now.
Or, you know, getting stuff done. And now just recently I've been doing the giveaway streams, which have been taking a lot of my time and setting that all up. Patrick Murphy, I really appreciate you, man. You've been helping me a lot as well. I've been contacting all the people and, you know, for the giveaways, just, you know, logistically getting that all handled. But I love doing that. So, oh man, I feel better. You know, I feel better just talking about it. I think that I wanted to make this video just to explain the true, like, behind the scenes of Red Panda mining, and like my life is just full of stuff.
Just swapped your 17 wart rigs to Jelly
I'm
FC
like already
pool.
stressing about it. I know to a lot of
While
you guys,
Panda
you think
talks.
it's really cool that someone
Why
can
not-
receive
why not
hardware
solo
to
mine with
review
that amount of
or, you know, to
rigs?
showcase on the channel for free. Okay, mind you, I get hardware for free. In turn, I get to give my opinion on it. None of the people who send me stuff ever tell me to say, oh, you gotta say something, you gotta say nothing bad about this product. None of them have ever told me to do that. I have always given my opinions and risks involved into buying anything, whether it's a GPU or ASIC, notably. ASIC miners notably have a lot more risks, okay? So I'm really glad that none of the, you know, resellers and people who send me stuff tell me that I can't say a certain thing, and none of them tell me to do that. So that's really one thing that I never want to change on this channel.
That's
and
good.
so hopefully you guys can see that from me. If not, then let me know down below how I can improve. Okay, my camera says
Nah,
it's
don't ask
overheating.
that,
This, man, this new 4K camera does not last long. It's been like, I think 20 minutes when I'm recording, and then it
So
like,
you got to
out.
get a
So
rig, and then I have one here. So I have the FX30, right? And then you get the rig case. Let's see if I can show you. So you get the rig. So I got this cage around it, right? And then there's attachments all around it. And basically I have a battery that goes on to it. and then the battery just plugs into the USB-C, and then you expand your battery life on the rig. And you can get like little, let's see if I have any in here. I might not have all the attachments here. But you can get like a little, yeah, like one of these. This one works good. If you're wanting to do it quick, you know, you can just carry it around like this. You know, they have handles for the side. I have one of those. Another thing you can get is you can get the gimbal, which I have my gimbal somewhere over there, but the gimbal will auto balance and take the shake out. Now my lens does that, but for a lens that's going to do that, you're going to spend like nearly $1,000. So the gimbal, technically, like a lens that doesn't have stabilization plus a gimbal, is probably a cheapest way for image stabilization in my experience. But yeah. Anyways, get a rig, find out whatever camera you got, order the rig. They're like $30 on Amazon. Get the attachments, whichever ones you think you'll use. Get the battery life expander, attach that on, and you'll be recording all day long, sir.
Oh, I think that's it, guys. Let me know your thoughts. I think this is just like a psychological thing for me, with a lot of like family responsibility, a lot of projects going around, a lot of hardware just laying on the floor, doing nothing. This whole week, I'm thinking of just making very easy videos, and then I'm gonna focus on cleaning this place up, getting stuff the way I want. I really gotta get rid of a lot of this older. I'm gonna get rid of my evergreens. Just get a lot of stuff.
Yes, good.
Anyways,
throw them in the
trash. Talk all
trash.
day about this. I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you all so much. I'll see you all in the next giveaway live stream tomorrow, February 4th. Tomorrow. All right, I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good one. Peace out. Peace out. Man, this camera's getting hot. This camera's getting real hot.
Go, yeah, they're gonna get, so when they get hot, you can get the fans too, by the way, on the rigs. Make sure you guys go like Red Panda's video. I'm sure everybody already saw it because it had 10,000 views. Otherwise, I wouldn't have like stolen the reaction there. But I was like, oh, he already has a lot of views on it. We'll watch it and see what's going on. Hopefully I had some helpful feedback, but I don't know if I did. At least on the camera part. So that's going to call it today. Yes, Evergreen is trash. Cheater. Did you see the 700K stolen from Xeggex? No, has that been announced now? Hold on. Maybe we have more news to talk about. Xeggex. I saw their website's down. No, I don't see anything. Let me check my notifications. No, I have nothing that I can verify on that right now. I'm going to take a quick break, boys, and then we're going to be over on twitch.tv/blindrun, checking out, of course, the RTX 5080 performance on the on Rigel Miner, since we just had that launch. So there you go. Head on over there. I'm going to stop the stream on YouTube. Let me see if I can just stop it on YouTube, and then we're gonna head over there. I'm probably just gonna end this stream, restart it on Twitch, and then we'll be good. All right. Love you all. Hit the like, comment, subscribe down below. Glad to be back. Glad to be here. Glad to see everyone again. I'll see you next Tuesday.